Before modern deer hunting became an overpriced gear catalog, there was a stalking method that let men walk through timber without making a single sound that any whitetail could read. No rubber boots and no carbon suits were part of this system, just raw body mechanics and deep forest ground reading skill that turned an ordinary hunter into smoke through dark timber. This silent stalking method kept rural families fed with deer through Appalachian winters. Most modern people cannot survive. Entire generations of mountain woodsmen passed this knowledge from father to son like sacred hunting scripture in the woods. Then it vanished from every single hunting guide in the land. It disappeared from outdoor channels and deer camp discussion, not because the silent stalking method ever stopped its work, because something far more profitable replaced it completely. The gear industry discovered silence could be sold in a box. This is the story of the stalking method they buried on maps, so you would keep buying rubber boots that never kept silent. Welcome to Hidden Hunter Wyatt, where we dig up buried truth. If you're not subscribed yet, hit subscribe and ring the bell. This is where forgotten deer hunting methods come back alive. In the late 1800s, across southern Appalachian land, whitetail deer hunters moved entirely on foot through timber. No tree stands existed, no blinds, no trail cameras to check. They closed distance on fully mature whitetail bucks in brush, using nothing but precise timing and terrain reading and calm. These mountain men studied the forest floor before every hunt, the same way a field surgeon studies a wound before he cuts in. They memorized which dry leaves cracked under pressure of boot and which mossy patches along the creek absorbed every step. The Cherokee and Shawnee nations already refined this approach of ground-based silent deer stalking for hundreds of seasons. European settlers who trained under native whitetail hunters became the first generation of American silent field stalkers. By 1903, the old fieldcraft journals had recorded clean stalking distances well under 30 yards on mature bucks, using no modern deer hunting equipment of any kind available. A man named Elias from the deep hills of West Virginia documented over 40 silent deer approaches across 2 years. He mapped every soil type and moisture pattern near the ridge with hand-drawn charts that rival any modern deer hunt survey. His complete method relied on 3 fundamental ground rules: foot placement first, then weight transfer, then ground reading. He never rushed through timber, and he never once guessed wind. He never stepped before reading the ground beneath his weight, and across 2 complete whitetail seasons, he rarely missed out. By the 1920s, this deer stalking approach was common among rural hunting families across the entire deep southeast. Young boys learned to move silent before they ever touched guns. The forest floor was always the first lesson inside deer camp. But then something shifted permanently in American deer culture. The outdoor industry realized that selling gear earned millions while teaching silent fieldcraft earned almost nothing in return. Rubber-soled boots arrived with promises of complete quiet steps. Scent sprays and carbon-lined suits filled every store shelf fast. And the ancient art of moving through timber in complete silence began disappearing from deer camps across every American state. Not because the method failed any hunter, because it cost nothing. This video is just the surface of what hunting culture hid away. I collected everything the outdoor industry buried under products. All of it lives inside the complete forbidden hunter's vault now. Ghost scent methods that make whitetail deer miss your full trail. Silent stalking mechanics that old mountain hunters never shared. Tracking signs on the forest floor most deer hunters walk right by. Whitetail funnel logic that completely changes how you read woods. Cold weather hunting fixes that make expensive winter gear useless. 8 powerful modules packed in one place, and there is no fluff. The link is sitting in the description right now waiting for you. But stay right here because the video is only just getting going. In 2014, researchers at Penn State put out a study on whitetail deer auditory threat response inside controlled woods. The findings destroyed everything modern deer hunters just assumed. Whitetail deer detect ground vibrations right through their hooves, at distances greater than 150 feet from a hunter. That means a single heavy footstep landing on a bed of dry leaves can alert a mature whitetail buck before you even get sight of him. The study proved deer responded far more to raw impact pressure than they ever responded to the actual volume of the noise itself. A slow rolling footstep created roughly 40% less pressure compared to a normal walking stride across that same dry leaf bed. Old Appalachian stalkers understood this without a single research. They named it rolling the foot from the heel slowly down to toe, letting body weight shift through the ground like water, not hammer. Now compare that to a modern deer hunter stomping in rubber boots, walking hard toward his tree stand at 4:30 in the cold dark. The University of Georgia tested vibration from 6 hunting boots across the most common deer hunting boot models used in the field. Every single boot they tested produced enough raw impact pressure to trigger a full whitetail flight response far before visual range. The boots, marketed to keep every deer hunter perfectly silent outside, were actually the loudest objects moving through the autumn timber. Meanwhile, a moccasin-style rolling step placed on soft, bare ground reduced the total ground vibration signature by over 60%. The difference was never about the boot sole or the brand or price. Old mountain woodsmen proved this across 2 centuries of deer hunts. If you made it this far into this video, you already understand more about silent deer stalking than most hunters ever will. Subscribe and share this with a hunter who still values skill over expensive noise from the outdoor gear marketing machine. The complete vault is waiting in the description for you now. Now stay with me because the next part matters even more here. So why does almost nobody in the hunting world talk about this? Why did this method of silent stalking just vanish from memory? Here is the answer that the outdoor industry does not want said. The global hunting gear market generates billions every season. Rubber boots alone account for hundreds of millions in revenue. Scent elimination products bring in over 200 million now. Carbon-lined hunting clothing sells at margins above 60 cents. Every single one of those product categories exists for one thing. To replace a skill that used to be free with gear, you must rebuy. If every deer hunter in North America learned to roll a footstep and read the forest floor the way their great-grandfathers knew, the entire hunting boot industry would collapse within a decade. You cannot patent the way a man places his foot on wet leaves. You cannot sell a subscription to careful weight-shifting skills. You cannot create seasonal dependency when a hunter walks quiet. That is why the outdoor industry let silent stalking disappear. Not through conspiracy meetings held in some boardroom at night, through something much simpler and much harder to fight against. They just stopped talking about it everywhere that people learn. Hunting television stopped mentioning it during every broadcast. Outdoor magazines replaced it with gear reviews for new seasons. YouTube channels discovered that product links earned more money than free knowledge about placing your feet quiet ever could do. The entire model depends on confusion and yearly gear upgrades. A man who walks silent needs nothing from the store ever again. And that is exactly the kind of hunter the industry fears most. The model needs you buying new boots every single hunting season. It needs you believing that the right sole pattern changes things. It needs you trusting that carbon fabric does what patience did. So the old method was never banned or officially made forbidden. It was just slowly and quietly erased from the hunting culture. Ignored until the men who carried it were too old to speak loud. Mocked until young hunters felt embarrassed to walk without boots. Buried under a mountain of rubber and carbon and marketing noise. But it never stopped working inside the timber and on the trail. Here is what to do if you want to bring it back into your hunts. Step 1. Find a section of trail near your stand or hunting area. Walk it once wearing your normal hunting boots at regular speed. Listen to every single sound your feet create crossing the ground. Mark the spots where dry leaves crack loud under your full weight. Mark where sticks snap clean and where gravel shifts under soles. Now walk that same trail section again, but this time go barefoot. Place your heel down first on the ground as gently as you can do. Roll your weight forward from the heel slowly, across to the toes. Let every ounce of pressure transfer through the foot like water. You will notice that over 70% of the sound vanishes. That is not a guess, and it is not an estimate from old folklore. That is what Penn State measured in controlled whitetail studies. Step 2. Start practicing this rolling footstep wearing thin soles. Moccasin-style boots or flat-soled shoes work better than treaded. The goal is not bare feet in the deer woods during hunting season. The goal is training your legs and feet to move without pounding. Within 2 weeks of daily short practice, walks on natural ground, your body will start defaulting to a low vibration stride always. Step 3. Apply this approach during your next morning deer hunt. Walk to your stand or your stalking route 30 minutes earlier. Move at half your normal speed across every section of the trail. Pause every 15 steps and listen for 30 full seconds calm. Compare that hunt to every loud, stumbling walk you ever took prior. The difference in what you see and what stays around you is total. One hunter in the Appalachian range reported seeing 40% more deer within bow range after switching to this rolling method. He spent $0 and zero time shopping for equipment to do it. He just walked the way his grandfather taught him near the creek. I need to be honest with you about one limitation of this method. Frozen ground in deep winter reduces the advantage significantly. When ice locks the forest floor, the vibration rules shift a bit. But for 9 months of the year, this method remains unbeatable. No boot on earth can outperform a trained foot on soft timber. This knowledge did not die out there in the Appalachian forests. It waited through decades of rubber boots and carbon fiber lies. It waited for someone willing to dig it up and share it openly. If this video changed how you think about moving through timber, then subscribe and share it with another hunter who needs truth. Every single share preserves what the outdoor industry tried hard to erase from deer hunting culture across the American landscape. The complete Forbidden Hunters Vault is in the description now. The next vault opens soon, and what waits inside is even heavier.